you ever felt that no matter how much you do for your family, there's never enough? Enough time, enough energy, enough money. You're juggling work, kids, meals, and a never-ending to-do list. But financial stress is always there. You worry about bills piling up, hesitate to spend on healthy food, and even feel guilty about doing anything for yourself because there are more important expenses. But what if I told you that this broke mindset isn't just draining your bank account, it is damaging your health? When you live in constant financial stress, your body reacts. Your stress hormones stay sky high, leading to weight gain, hormone imbalances, poor sleep, and emotional eating. You might grab the cheapest, most processed food because it feels affordable, but in reality, it is costing you your energy, focus, and long-term health. So here's the truth. Living in survival mode isn't just about money, it is a mindset. And the good news, you can break free. So let's talk about how a scarcity mindset keeps you exhausted, overwhelmed, and unhealthy. Why your health is one of the best investments you can make, and how to finally shift from being broke and burnout to being healthy and thriving. In 2014, I made a bold decision. I left my job. I didn't have a clear plan, just the realization that I was unhappy where I was and wanted more meaning in my life. Walking away from a steady paycheck to zero income was terrifying. I immediately took drastic steps to cut my expenses. Growing up in a home with saving experts like my mom and sister made it easier. I was also invested in my health journey, so I started planting my own food to sustain myself and earn some money. But as my bank account drained, reality hit me. Farming alone was not going to provide the life I wanted. The anxiety crept in. I started hoarding what I had, afraid I would not have enough. Giving, something that had always been second nature to me, became harder. Can you relate? Have you ever felt stressed about money, carefully planning each expense, and wondering how to have more freedom with your finances? It can feel overwhelming. What kept me from spiraling deeper was my relationship with God. I cried out to Him because I hated feeling trapped, anxious, and constantly worried. I knew I wanted to do work that mattered, made an impact, and yes, make money, lots of it. Not out of greed, but so I wouldn't have to beg, struggle, or limit my ability to help others. And then I had a realization that shocked me. This broke mindset was not from God. A scarcity mindset keeps you in fear and survival mode, destroying your health, energy, and joy. When you are constantly stressed about money, your body is in fight and flight mode, pumping up cortisol, the stress hormone, and adrenaline day and night. This leads to inflammation, the root cause of many diseases. Weight gain, especially belly fat from high cortisol, fatigue and burnout because your body never fully recovers. When money is tight, it's easy to prioritize cheap food over healthy food. You think healthy food is too expensive and compromise because you want to save a few dollars. But processed, low quality food come with a price. More doctor visits and medication in the long run. Low energy, making it harder to focus, work, and function. A weakened immune system, making you more prone to illnesses. With a broad mindset, health feels like a luxury, something you will focus on later. But waiting until sicknesses forces you to pay attention only makes things worse. You tend to ignore symptoms, pushing through exhaustion, assuming rest is a waste of time. You stay stuck in unhealthy habits because you fear you can't afford to eat healthier meals, join a gym, or invest in an exercise program. You have a tendency to overwork out of financial stress, leaving no time for proper rest or recovery. Worst of all, you only seek help when the problem becomes unbearable, when pain, fatigue, or illness make it impossible to ignore. God never intended for you to live in fear, worry, or survival mode, whether it's about money or your health. Being stuck in a broke and sick cycle isn't just a struggle, it is a curse. Poverty is a curse, not a blessing. Deuteronomy 28:12. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of His bounty, to send rain on your land in season and to bless all the works of your hands. You will lend to many nations, but borrow from none. God's design for His people is to be lenders, not borrowers, living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt, and constantly struggling is not God's will. Proverbs 10:22. The blessing of the Lord makes rich and adds no sorrow with it. If God's blessing makes a person rich and joyful, why do so many people believe poverty is spiritual or holy? God's blessings are meant to empower you, not drain you. In Deuteronomy 28, sickness is repeatedly mentioned as a consequence of turning away from Him. Verse 15 to 68 describe how rejecting God's way leads to diseases, plagues, weakness, and suffering. Not because God desires harm, but because disobedience removes His protection. Verse 22 speaks of consuming fevers and infection, while verse 27 mentions afflictions like bowels and tumors. This shows that sickness was never God's original plan for His people. It resulted from separation from Him. But here's a powerful truth. Jesus broke that curse on the cross. Galatians 3:13. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. That means you don't have to live in lack, sickness, or constant struggle. Jesus already purchased your freedom. Who told you that struggling is your portion? Jesus didn't die for you to live in constant anxiety about money and health. He came to give you an abundant life. When you worry about money and your future, it's easy to believe you're being responsible, right? In reality, worry is a sign that you are carrying a burden you weren't meant to bear. Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus. God didn't say try not to worry. He said don't be anxious about anything. Instead, prayer, trust, and let His peace replace your stress. Matthew 6:31-33. So do not worry about what you shall eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear. But seek His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Jesus knew that people will worry about their basic needs. Food, clothing, shelter, money. But He made it clear, worrying wouldn't change anything. Instead, our focus should be on seeking God first. And when we do, He promises that everything we need will be provided. So now let's look at giving. This opened the door for more. Luke 6:38. Give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. It broke mindset says, I can't afford to give. I barely have enough for myself. But God's financial system works differently. When you give, you create room to receive. Now think about this. How can God bless you with more if you hold on to everything tightly because you are afraid of running out? When you give freely, you show that you trust God's provision, and He promises to bless you in return. Giving isn't just about money. It can be your time, resources, or kindness. But you are blocking your blessings if you refuse to give because of fear. I think the scariest part for me was realizing that I was surrounded by people who had the same broke mindset, and they didn't even know it. They were struggling, just surviving, never thriving. Some had done well financially, yet there was still something missing. Their decisions, their fear, their limiting belief about money and health all pointed to the same underlying problem: fear and scarcity mindset. Believing there is never enough, leading to stress, hoarding, and lack of trust in God's provision. Their inherited beliefs about struggle, lack, and sickness being normal, rather than something that can be changed. They had a mistrust about money and success, thinking that wealth is evil, or that success will lead to selfishness or greed. They lacked financial and health literacy, not understanding how money works or how to care for their body, leading to poor decision making. They were stuck in overworking and survival mode, prioritizing work and making money over well-being, believing that rest and self-care are luxuries. Their fear invested in themselves, avoiding spending on things that could bring growth, like coaching, education, and health, due to fear of loss. They lack faith and trust in God's provision, depending only on personal efforts instead of believing God has provided the resources, opportunity, and wisdom to live abundantly. And that's when it hit me. This mindset was a generational curse, a way of thinking passed down, keeping people stuck in lack, stress, and sickness. It wasn't just about money, but about never fully becoming who God calls us to be. Breaking free is hard, but necessary. Now, coming to that realization was one thing, but figuring out how to break free was another battle. These mindsets weren't just bad habits, there were strongholds. A stronghold keeps you stuck, trick you into believing this is just how life is, and makes you feel powerless to change. And that's exactly what the broad mindset does. It tells you, you can't afford to eat healthy. I have to work hard for every dollar. It's selfish to want more. It runs in my family, so I cannot do anything about it. And because I had believed those things for so long, breaking free wasn't easy. So I came to the realization that if I want to think differently, live differently, and experience a breakthrough, I needed to surround myself with people who thought bigger. So I started praying and reading the Bible, listening to empowering messages, faith-filled sermons, and success stories. And yes, that helped to a degree, but here's the truth. Breaking free from a mindset ingrained in you for years takes more than just hearing a few messages. I needed guidance, accountability, real transformation. So I did something that felt like a huge risk at the time. I hired a coach. Investing in myself was a turning point. Being in the circle of people who thought differently changed everything. Seeing others break free from these same struggles change your mindset and start living the abundant life God promised was powerful. I watched people build businesses that impact lives, make health a priority without guilt, start believing that success, peace, and financial freedom were possible for them. And I knew if they could do it, so could I. Now it's your turn. If you have been stuck in a broke mindset, waiting for the right time to put your health first, afraid to step into the life God has for you, I get it. I have been there, but here's what I've learned. If you do not shift your mindset, nothing will change. God has already given you the ability to break free. You need the right guidance. You do not have to do it alone. So here's my question. Are you ready to finally step out of the broke, stressed, and exhausted mindset and into the life God designed for you?